The Zach LaVine drama continues as now we see Rich Paul has come out and made statements defending Zach LaVine and his professionalism. We're going to be talking about what this means for Zach LaVine. What does this mean for the Chicago Bulls? And can we see a conclusion to this saga? This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. Before we jump into it, wanted to let you know that 77.8% of you guys that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you mash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest news and happenings around your Chicago Bulls. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into what Rich Paul had to say. I know this has been out there, guys, but let's jump right into this article. It is Rich Paul pushes back on Zach LaVine slander. This is a terrific read. This was in Casey Johnson's post. And again, Casey Johnson is a guy that is a sideline reporter for the Bulls, so he's definitely in tune with what's going on with the Bulls. But he got a chance to let Rich Paul kind of speak his mind here, guys. And I thought that what Rich Paul had to say was interesting, and we're going to address each thing that he had to say. So first off, let's start with what Rich Paul had to say at the very top of this thing. He says, look, I want to make this clean and clear. The whole idea that Zach has been anything but professional in this situation is false. This guy has played hurt. He has represented the franchise with class. A lot has taken place during his time with the Bulls, and he's taken a high road in every single time. Paul said here by the phone, and he said, look, every player gets frustrated. Yes, that is true, but Zach has been the ultimate professional, and he deserves better. The Bulls have business to do, and we're going to let them do their business. All right, so Rich Paul comes out there. He comes out hot. All right, so I like what Rich Paul had to say with the whole thing with being professional. Let's start there. So Zach LaVine has absolutely been professional. I 1000% agree with that. I don't see any articles. I don't see any clips suggesting that he said anything disrespectful to AK. He's not showing up to practice. He's gotten into numerous locker room scuffles. None of that has happened with Zach LaVine. And even when he's been injured, I've seen him quite a bit on the sideline here, okay? So once again, I think that this is one of those things that's been thrown out there, right, into this narrative around Zach LaVine, and it sounds like it's just putting us more into that patented merry-go-round. All right, so as we continue this merry-go-round with Zach LaVine, first of all, Rich Paul is correct. He has been absolutely professional, and he points out the fact that Zach LaVine played through injuries. He's right. Okay, when we had Lonzo Ball out there before he went down, and as we were going into that playoff series, I believe with the Milwaukee Bucks, he was going through an injury and he eventually needed surgery. So he did play through that. All right, so that's first and foremost. Now there's coming up the part that Zach LaVine requested a trade from the Chicago Bulls, and from what we see here, according to Rich Paul, he's saying that that's not necessarily true, guys. So this is what he had to say around that. Look, he's saying if we continue to play this way, he's referring to the team starting to lose. He's saying, and if you guys are starting to look to make changes, let's work together. All right, guys. So to jump out of that and to jump into what he's talking about in full context, he went up to management, or they went up to management and said, look, if you guys are looking to go in a different direction, please let me know, okay? Because he's locked in. He wants to win games. He wants to improve as a player, but he's saying, look, if you guys are going in a rebuild, let me know so, we can work together. And that, to me, is no different from what maybe DeMar DeRozan might have done, okay? DeMar DeRozan might have been like, look, you guys traded away Alex Caruso. You're trying to get rid of Zach LaVine. More than likely, you're getting rid of Lonzo Ball, which is a guy that he said that he absolutely loved playing with and he enjoyed when he was at his peak performance. And maybe like DeMar saw that, hey, it's not going to happen here, so let's work together. I think that that's probably what Zach LaVine was saying in this situation. So, for the people out there that are saying, hey, he requested a trade, No, he didn't request a trade. It looks like that he has an open relationship with management, and he's basically saying, like, look, if you guys are moving in a different direction, let me know so we can work together. All right. So that's step number two. I like what is going on with the Zach LaVine and this whole situation. Like, his narrative so far, he hasn't done anything wrong. All right. Next, guys, we're going to talk about the situation where Zach LaVine supposedly went ahead. He got a surgery, right? He got a surgery because he was getting ready to be traded to the Detroit Pistons. Okay. And this is what Zach LaVine had to say in that particular situation. He said, look, you never want to have surgery, right? But he came to a conclusion that he got to a doctor here, and he said that he needed to go ahead and get this thing done sooner than later. He said he has a bone that was floating around in his foot. It looks like it was a Jones fracture. Okay. And so he said once he got to that doctor, he was glad that he told him that. And he said that he needed to get this done sooner than later. All right. And so look, he got the surgery done. Okay, he's back from the surgery. He's ahead of time. And so he's basically telling you guys that, look, if he didn't get this surgery, then it probably would have escalated into a worser issue. So once again, I do not have an issue with what Zach LaVine did there. Okay, he made the better decision. And if we were going to hold on to him, like it looks like we're going to now, we certainly don't want him to be hurt. So the fact that he went ahead and got the surgery, that's admirable. And I like this, again, in favor of Zach LaVine in this whole situation. Now, to kind of tie this thing together, okay, I think that you have a perfect storm with this Zach LaVine situation, okay? And this is why we're going around the merry-go-round. Okay, so it was a perfect storm in the sense that Zach LaVine got that contract and he was valued at that time. Okay, at the money that we threw at him, that was the value, that was the market for Zach LaVine. The team never really it didn't come together like it was supposed to. Okay, Lonzo got injured. That definitely hurt us and set us back. As it was constructed, we didn't have very good shooters on the team. Defensively, we had some holes there. And so there were a lot of things that factor into this thing. So one, the contract situation, LaVine lucked into that. Next, the way the Bulls built the team, all right, that's not necessarily putting Zach LaVine in a successful situation, all right? And then lastly, with what happened with, this agent and Rich Paul and stuff like that, like, I don't know if Rich Paul told my man to, like, look, take the surgery now or whatever. It just wasn't a good look, okay? So there's three different factors that I can look at here. Like, Zach LaVine signed the deal. The Bulls never really constructed the team as they should have to get better. And then lastly, whoever's advising Zach LaVine, I mean, it probably wasn't a good look for him to get the surgery at that time, but I understand he had to. And, whoever is Zach LaVine's PR or whatever the case may be, they're trying as best that they can. But, more or less to just not ramble on, man, I think that Zach LaVine is absolutely getting a bad rap here. And I think that this goes back to what I was telling you guys back in 2014, where Zach LaVine has always been the player that he is now. Okay, this is what was put out there in 2014. This was going into the draft, guys. It tells you that he was not a very good defender. That's true now. It also tells you that he was great actually at getting to the basket, dunking on people, right? He's a terrific slasher, which is true there. All right. It also tells you that he had to get better as a mid-range shooter. He also had to get better as a three-point shooter. That has happened. But the injuries are something that happened once he got to the NBA. When we got Zach LaVine, he was injured. So we took a chance on the fact that he wasn't a great defender coming out of college. That was in his ranking, all right, in his NBA profile or whatever, when we go ahead and evaluate talent. Two, look, he got injured. We saw that. We still took a chance on him. And we were thinking, oh, there's a chance that he's not going to be injured anymore. And it's like, dude, he was injured when we got him. He's injured now with us. What do you expect? Okay, so everything that the Bulls signed up for. It's right here. It's right now. Like, you signed up for this. So I think that everybody takes a blame in this situation. I don't think that it should just be solely on the Chicago Bulls. I don't think it should just be solely on Zach LaVine, and I don't think it's solely on Rich Paul. I think it's a combination of things here that we point out that just it was the perfect storm here, guys. And so with that being said, as we have gone around the merry-go-round once more with this Zach LaVine situation, like, what are you guys thinking here? Because I put this out there in the community tab, and I'm going to bring that up, guys. We put the survey out there, and 26% of you guys feel like that we should trade LaVine with no asset attached. You guys are pretty split on letting him play out his contract or trading him immediately attached with an asset. Some people were saying, like, let's wait until the trade deadline next year. I know that that's cut off. And then this 12% said never trade Zach LaVine unless you get a first round pick attached to that, guys. And so I wanted to leave off with that in this whole situation. Once again, we continue to go around the merry-go-round with Zach LaVine. And even though we are, and we don't know what's going to happen with Zach LaVine, I'm saying go Bulls. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.